Good afternoon, YouTube. All right, today, kind of flash forward here. We've been waiting about 6 to 8 weeks, I would guess, somewhere in that timeline. Our exhaust is finally coming today. We went with the Trinity Racing Exhaust, and that's the full exhaust. So we'll be taking all that off and putting the new exhaust on. Also comes with a, we also purchased the tune that goes with it from Trinity as well. We'll be redoing the back here. That plate obviously is going to come off. And the Trinity Racing laser engraved plaque will go on there. Find a new place to mount the license plate. It should work just fine with the exhaust coming out here. Should work with the bumper. I was unable to get a good shot or video as if it will work with the bumper. We just want to make sure that we don't destroy our exhaust backing into a rock or something with it. So we're going to make sure and we're going to run the bumper with it. But yeah, we are waiting for the exhaust to come today with the tune. So we'll go ahead and get that started. We'll get some weights on the factory OEM exhaust that we're taking off, and a new weight on the Trinity Racing exhaust that we're putting on. So we'll see if it's lighter or heavier than this. I believe it's going to be lighter than this one, just from what I've heard previously, and well, we'll see. And we'll go ahead and also get a sound test here of the original OEM exhaust, and then we'll get the sound bite of the Trinity exhaust. So stay tuned. The box came. Nice size box. I believe it says 29 pounds on it. Box states 29 pounds, but go ahead and get an actual weight on the actual components that'll be going on, because there's a couple other things in this box that we won't weigh because it's not the exhaust. The unboxing for the Trinity exhaust. Right. Item. Oh. DynoJet. This is good. Good stuff. Look at that. Wrong color shirt, but it was a free shirt. I asked for black. They sent gray, so at least in the right size. Medium, yep. There's parts. That would be the brackets. I have the exhaust. Say the exhaust came very well packed. No dents, no scrapes. All looks pretty good. So we went in and took everything out of the box that was not related to the exhaust, minus a little bit of the packing material. We just want to scratch up the exhaust on the bottom. But I'll deduct the weight of the box. Later we'll weigh the box after we weigh the OEM exhaust, and then we'll deduct those totals. But all the exhaust pipes, the laser engraved pieces, the mounting brackets, all of the hardware, the exhaust, everything in this box, including the box and this packing material, which weighs very minimal, is 23.8 pounds. So we will do exactly the same with the OEM exhaust. We'll take it off the machine. All the bolts will go in here. All the exhaust pieces will go in here. And the heat shrouds will go in here too, because those are part of the exhaust system on the original exhaust, and it will be coming off the machine. So that will count as a part of the exhaust. So we'll go ahead and get all that in here, and we'll get a weight on that. Quick overview on the exhaust here. Got all the pieces out. We have all of the tray of bolts and springs, spark arresters that it came with. And these are the instructions. Not very detailed. No, I'm guessing it's missing a whole bunch, but there's some videos online, so we're going to attempt to watch their video. Kind of see how this whole thing goes together. So wish us luck. We had hang-ups here, kind of expected, I guess. The bolts that secure the turbo to the exhaust, these four, that one, and then two down here, those are a bugger to get off. We used penetrating lube, heated it up, cooled it down, penetrating lube, heated it up, cooled it down. What I finally got it loose with was air impact driver. So make sure you have the right tool for the right job. You know, using just the simple little DeWalt driver, I think it's 120 pounds of torque, not enough to bust those loose. As soon as I put this one on it, they came right off. One of the nuts was stripped out, so I had to get a different kind of a star hex to get it to budge. But we'll go ahead and get a new replacement one of these. It's an M6 6mm, so we'll find one. We'll get it replaced. But now that that's off, should be smooth sailing. So go ahead and wrap this up tonight and get some new bolts tomorrow. And then we'll get this all finished up. I'm gonna go ahead and pull all this off again. We did remove everything from the vehicle to make it a little bit easier. As you can see, we took out the bed here. We took out a lot of the heat shields up front on the sides. We took out the seats, the back partition, the top one. The heat shields on the front here. There was a heat shield wrapped around this. It made it a lot easier to get to the bolts. These are hex bolts, which is kind of odd. You can't really get too much torque in there on a hex bolt without stripping them out. So, but finally got it off. So on to the next phase. All right, we're definitely making progress now. We went ahead and got the flange bolted to the turbo. We used 3 of the existing bolts and went and got a new bolt and put just a little bit of anti-seize on the tip of them. Tightened them down, maybe 150 foot-pounds, 200, somewhere right in there. Somewhere where we can get them off again if we need to. But We'll periodically check them for tightness to make sure they're doing okay. Then went ahead and attached the Trinity pipe to the flange with two of the longer sets of springs. We're kind of trying to figure out what parts to use as we go along here. We have 4 short springs. Guessing that's for they go from here to the exhaust and from here to the longer pipe. We'll see what works, what doesn't work, where we need the longer ones, where we need the shorter ones. We'll kind of figure it out. They're just not specific on what parts to use. I mean, all of these bolts and the spacers, I think people had questions on the spacers, where they go. We're going to figure that out here real quick. Okay, we have our on to the next phase. We are going to attach the 4-bolt flanges to the exhaust. And we're going to make sure to use the spring fasteners to the outside upper bolts on each one. That'll be the upper left-hand corner. And so we'll go ahead and put those in. Inches. 3 inches. So the longer springs are going to go onto this one. I'll go ahead and verify that. Yep. All right, guys, so a little bit more clarification here on some of the bolts for the Trinity exhaust. The directions state to attach the Y pipe after this is attached as well to this, and then mount the whole thing. It's a little bit hard to do because the Y pipe wants to constantly hit this and get in the way of it. So my suggestions would be take the Y pipe off, undo the springs, take the Y pipe off, mount the muffler. The muffler mounts as follows. You have the the hex head bolt with the big thick washer, the billet, and then the billet rack mounts through the other side. And on the other side, you have the big washer, lock washer, and then the nylock nut. All right, so we went ahead and removed one of the end caps. And we're going to go ahead and put the spark arrestor on here. It looks like there's 2 different ways it goes. It can sit flush all the way, and you see the other areas are actually slightly raised. So I have to determine what the difference is there between those two, the slightly raised versus the completely flush. Exhaust is on. Go ahead and fire it up, and then we'll throw a audio decibel meter on it. And this is inside the garage, just like we did previously with the other exhaust. Like I said, the exhaust does look really good. And we can see that I have the plate on there, the Trinity Racing plate. I angled the tips slightly down. You can position the tips any way you want. Spin them in there. So I did them slightly down, just like the original. All right, so we'll go ahead and fire this up, and then we'll get the decimal meter, and we'll see how loud it is compared to the stock. That actually sounds good and throaty. It's about the same decibels, a little bit more throatier. Sounds really good. The factory exhaust sounds good. Just the fact that this actually sounds better. Pretty impressed with the way that it sounds. We're going to go ahead and throw back on our heat shields, side of the engine, front of the bulkhead. Nothing that goes over the exhaust. Got some residual smoke here coming off the turbo. That's just from our penetrating oil. That'll burn off over time. No big deal there. But we're going to go ahead and just throw those heat shields back on. Take it for a little test, see how it runs, and then we'll be working with the tune. But we're going to go ahead and reinstall the original heat shield up around the turbo. That one right there. Just because, you know, gauging the turbo, I mean, that's upwards towards 1,000 degrees, 800 when that's going, and not too far in front of that is that piece of plastic for the bulkhead. So we went in and just put that there. The back one, and then there's one that goes over the top, and then another one that goes in front of it. So, and we can still access the bolts easily without the more difficult one that we had to take off, which was this one. This heat shield around the exhaust up there on the front. And this does not go back on. I'm assuming that's the one they're referring to, because the attachments are actually right here on the original exhaust. So that's the one we're throwing away. That's one, all of that is getting weighed so far as to the original exhaust right there. Everything in this box, I'm going to tell you right now, it's very heavy. So this exhaust should be quite a bit lighter. If I recall correctly, our Trinity exhaust was 23.8 pounds. And we weighed everything that was going onto it. Screws, springs, all the pieces. So we'll go ahead and weigh this one when we're done, and we'll see where we fall. So right now what we're going to do is go ahead and throw the other heat shields back on. That'll be this heat shield that goes up on the top, and then this one that drops right down here in the front. So we'll throw those on, and then we'll get to putting it back. Okay, so for the install, I would say somewhat involving. If you got the tools, you got the know-how, probably can do it. As you can see here, we went ahead and reinstalled the side heat shield there, the top shield, the inner heat shield around the turbo, and then on the inside we went ahead and put back and here's the top shield and the front heat shield for the turbo as well. So the turbo shielded, the plastic's going to go in front. The only heat shield that's really missing from up front where the hot components are is the one that wraps around the corner, which would be right here in this area. New exhaust smoke. Love it. All right, I guess she'll smoke when she's new. break her and get her nice and hot. All right, so I determined what these are for. Process of elimination, where they fit, where they don't fit. Where the sensor goes, in the side of exhaust here, there's one bolt to completely close it off. And the other bolt, the other nut that has a hole, is I guess for a smaller sensor, and it's threaded on the inside as well. Yep, so that's where those fit. All right, we have the exhaust back on, bumper back on, rear storage bin back on. That's where we went ahead and mounted the plate. Just blocking the Trinity Racing logo, but just seemed the best obvious place to put it, instead of mounting it here and then running wires up through the tubing. Or doesn't look bad. Okay, we have the results for the OEM exhaust. All the heat shields, the screws, everything that came out of it that we're no longer using. And same scenario went for the new stuff put on. We weighed everything that we were using. Given the box as a factor with the 2 pieces of foam, packaging peanuts in the bottom, we just go ahead and just leave those in there and assume we can just remove the point factor from the pounds if you want. But this box of OEM muffler exhaust was 32.6 pounds. And our exhaust that the Trinity exhaust that we put on was 23.8 pounds. That's an 8.8 pound difference. In the Trinity being lighter, almost 9 pounds lighter. All right, I think the exhaust looks really good. Kind of just go ahead and show you where we mounted the tuner, the gauges that we put on it. I hope everyone liked this video, and appreciate you watching, and please don't forget to subscribe.